Hello everybody, I'm Roadblock and this is a Raid Shadow Legends video. This team behind me is so freaking awesome for Phantom Shogun's Grove. Now, obviously, we're starting the video here in the middle of it. That way you guys can see it in action. But I want to point out one quick little thing that you can see that I'm actually running a level 50 Paragon. This team is all rare champions, and it absolutely dominates Phantom Shogun Grove. I think that this team is one that everybody should build, regardless of the level of your account. Now, could you theoretically just come in here with 5 champions, all of whom have 6-star blessings, and probably get away with just not even worrying about the mechanics of the fight? You probably could. But what I do know is that this team is great for free-to-play players, it's great for early game players, it's great for mid-game players, and it's great for late game players, because it doesn't inconvenience your account at all. Stop right there. Click the link in the description right now to get a free legendary Elenaril and 3 free amazing epics as you level up. Here are the exact steps that you need to follow. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Here we go. You'll find Elenaril here, as well as Uugo at level 10, Tagoar at level 20, and Rector Drath at 30. Don't forget to use the promo code Supreme6 to get yourself the awesome Supreme Galek. And if you play for 7 days, you'll get a 3rd legendary Alice. This is an amazing account start in Raid. So click on my link right now and follow the steps. So you can see here, stage 25, Phantom Shogun's Grove, right? We kicked its butt, all rares. One of them is level 50. On this account, I do have masteries, but on my main account, I don't need masteries. On some of them, I have needed to get masteries because my gear level on this account is a little low. So this is on my main free-to-play. This is not the challenge account. I don't want to confuse anybody. This is my main OG free-to-play. I've been playing this one for about 1.5 years. It's actually a very stacked account. I don't want to give you guys too much of, I don't want to brag too much here about how stacked the account is. Despite all these strong champions, I'm rocking 5 rares to beat Phantom Shogun Grove on stage 25 with a 100% success rate. One of the problems that you run into with a fight like this is that your speed tune really matters. Essentially, the way the team works is that you manipulate the mechanics of the boss. So the boss attacks the enemy with the highest crit damage, will prioritize attacking enemies not under stone skin, before attacking places block passive skills on all enemies for 3 turns that cannot be removed, resisted, or blocked. After attacking places enfeeble on the target enemy for 3 turns, this debuff cannot be removed, resisted, or blocked. The rest of the fight basically is that when you weak hit the boss, you give him a stack of his shade counter, and the more that this stacks up, he starts to do insane things, more damage, ignoring the ways that you would traditionally do damage to him, right? So the idea is not to allow that to stack, to build up, and you prevent that by hitting them with awakened champions. So a level 1 awakening will remove 1 stack. A level 2 will remove 2 stacks, right? So the higher level of awakenings, the more you can control those stacks and prevent him from doing crazy things. So I mentioned manipulating his kit. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we use Gnarlhorn. Let's talk about Gnarlhorn really quickly. Gnarlhorn has a very unique A1 here. Damage increases according to how much HP this champion has lost. This attack cannot be strong, critical, or a weak hit. So because he cannot weak hit even under enfeeble, which is locked on him and cannot be removed, he still will not weak hit the boss. If he doesn't weak hit the boss, then we don't build stacks on the boss. So he makes a perfect enfeeble tank for Phantom Shogun. Okay, so that's priority number 1. But how do we make sure that he's the tank? We give him a butt ton of crit damage, and we don't care about anything else except his speed. There are specific speeds here. You can see right here, the speed for the Gnarlhorn is 180. The amount of crit damage you need is going to vary. The only thing that you need to make sure of is that he has more crit damage than your damage dealing Coldhearts. And be careful, because sometimes, and I know this from experience, if you upgrade a Coldheart from 3 stars to 4 stars on their blessing and they get 23% more crit damage, your team may start failing for some random reason, and you might not be able to figure out why. That happened to me. Luckily, I was able to re-roll the neck and get an extra 12% crit damage, which puts him above, right? We know that Gnarlhorn is always going to be targeted by the Phantom Shogun. How do we prevent him from dying? Well, that's where Paragon comes into place. So Paragon has a 2-turn unkillable that lasts for 2 turns. So with the right speed tune, so the speed that I'm using for him is 175, we are always able to keep unkillable on our Gnarlhorn, and as long as we keep the shade counter down, that doesn't get ignored, we prevent our Gnarlhorn from dying every single time with the Paragon here, right? You'll notice no masteries, level 50, and I mean a mix mash of weak gear. Like, this doesn't, like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, this build is not crazy by any stretch. Very simple, easy to do build, right? So just love this team. Also, masteries on Gnarlhorn, none. 0. You don't need any masteries on Gnarlhorn. I mean, 2 of the easiest champs to build, right? The next one is Reliquary Tender. Again, no masteries on my Reliquary Tender either. What is Reliquary Tender's role? Well, one of the other abilities is that Phantom Shogun will place Enfeeble on the entire team, taking Enfeeble from the initial target and placing it on all enemies, okay? So he puts Enfeeble on your whole team. If your whole team starts weak hitting, that shade counter goes through the roof. So how do you prevent that? Well, you bring a cleanser. So in our particular case, we are bringing Reliquary Tender, who doesn't need any masteries, needs a few books. Specifically, you just need to hit the speed. Now, there is a little bit of variance here, which is not something that people want to hear when it comes to speed tunes. But I didn't come up with this team. Like, I didn't invent this team. I found this team through another video using the Hell Hades optimizer as well to find ones that gave me a specific reference point. I think the one I looked at was like 290, but I got it to work at 285. So as long as you hit all the speeds that I have on my team here, then you're going to be good. So 285 for Reliquary Tender. Basically, as soon as that debuff goes out, Reliquary Tender removes the debuff, and then everyone can keep attacking safely without increasing that shade counter. Then come the 2 Coldhearts. These are purely done for damage. Now, if you don't mind tying up some of your really good champions at 259 speed and with crit damage under Gnarlhorns, so it's 247 speed and 259 speed respectively. If you don't mind tying up like a Newt, it would go faster, or an Acrisia even, it would go faster. Having 2 Coldhearts fill that void is awesome. And they're actually not like that slow. I still use these Coldhearts in other content where Coldhearts make sense, right? I don't use Coldhearts that much on this account anymore, but at 259 speed, I mean, they are a little bit more squishy than you'd probably want them to be for later game content. But if I needed to use a Coldheart to do something like regular Fire Knight, I could do that, or Dark Fae. I'm okay with them being in these speeds to do like a Dark Fae. Maybe they're a little too low on HP to be able to do that, but, and of course they have masteries, but that's because they've had masteries forever. You'll see the other 3 do not. Let's go ahead and look at the team setup, because you do need to make a little bit of an adjustment here. So for Gnarlhorn, you're going to turn off the A2 and the A3. Now, the A3 is an unkillable that he places on himself. You don't need it. You can just turn it off. It doesn't matter. We want to make sure that Paragon's the only one ever giving him the unkillable. For Coldheart, I turn off Art of Pain because they will never be under Enfeeble. This quad hitter with their 4 stack of blessings will help keep that shade counter down more than the A2 will. But keep in mind that this A2, while it's an AoE hit, there's only one target, so it's a single target, one hitter. Keep that in mind, because we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the hardest part about this team is actually getting to stage 25, because the speeds don't work at the lower stages. Also, Reliquary Tender has to open with her A1 and then do her cleanse right here. So you want to make sure that you set that up. You'll see she opens with her A1 and uses this on her second turn, which is after the Enfeeble that comes out. Here's the other Coldheart, same thing we already talked about. And Paragon, just prioritize using your damage control at all times. Now, you probably want him to be level 50. I wouldn't want him to be 40 or 30 because he'd probably be too low of HP then to survive some of the damage that does come out, because he does do a little bit of AoE damage. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the team in action again here. I'll slow it down just a smidge for you guys. So you can see here, Reliquary Tender's turn. She's going to A1, right? We're using Coldheart's damage now to go ahead and pump that damage down. And you did see, by the way, at the beginning of the fight, which I forgot to mention, that Gnarlhorn was the target, and he has that Enfeeble, but you just saw him hit and did not weak hit. Go ahead and auto again. There goes the Unkillable. There's that hit again, targeting Gnarlhorn only, and he is unkillable, so he doesn't die, gets down to a sliver of HP, but that Unkillable is never going to come off. I'll turn auto on again. There it comes the cleanse from Reliquary Tender, right? Now that does give shade counter stacks, but remember we talked about I've got a 4-star blessing on both of these Coldhearts. That does matter, by the way. If you used all 5 of these champions with no blessings, I don't know that the team still works. You need to have some blessings to take stacks off of the shade counter, because even cleansing the Enfeeble gives him stacks on that shade counter. So there you go. We went from 6 to 0. That was the Coldheart right there, removing those stacks with her A1. And that's pretty much the fight. It's just rinse and repeat. That simple. And we're just cycling through to get our Coldhearts to their A3s to be able to do as much damage as possible. Right? So there, 5 stacks. Here comes the cleanse. 13 stacks down to 5. Because of Coldheart's A1. That's why I turn off the A2. The A2 would only take off a couple of stacks, whereas the multi-hitter will take off more stacks, right? And it's rinse and repeat. Now, one of the big comments I always get here on this videos like this is like, well, you could use different, you don't have to build this team. This is such an easy boss, just throw 5 champions in there and you'll be fine. And that may be the case, but the reality is that this is easier, it's cleaner, maybe not easier, but it's certainly cleaner than just throwing in 5 champions and not really caring. And like I said at the beginning of the video, what I love about this is that it doesn't inconvenience me at all. I tell this story all the time on my account where I used to use really good champions in my clan boss team, and the problem that I would run into is that I wanted to hit certain speeds, but they were part of a speed tune. So if I increased their speed too much, my speed tune on Clan Boss would fail. So I had to keep these really good champions at it was Mishinaki. I had to keep him at 180 speed to be my damage dealer on Clan Boss. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And so eventually I switched to a different damage dealer. I put an epic in his place and was able to build him up higher, right? So sometimes if you are running a speed tuned team, like for this boss with some of your really good legendaries or even mythical champions, it can be a little bit of an inconvenience that you don't want to ruin that speed tune. Now, maybe you're just throwing them in there and you're not even speed tuning it. That's all well and good, but not all of us have that capability. So if you are struggling on Phantom Shogun's Grove, I recommend building this team. But the hardest part, we're not done yet, the hardest part is getting to stage 25. And we'll show you here. You'll notice that this is a 1 and 20-second run, but on all of these other runs, I mean, 9 minutes, right? 3 minutes. Why are these so much longer? Because I had to manual them to get through the fight. Now, these first couple ones are so quick and easy, it doesn't matter. But then as soon as you start getting into the ones where the mechanics make a difference, what I'm going to do is kind of show you what I mean by manualing the fights. We actually want to turn it off of auto. Everything else still works as normal. You're going to want to make sure that you're using the A1, A3 whenever we can to try and burn the boss down. I'll A1 here because we are going to get to use this unkillable. And there that comes out. We get the cleanse off. And so far, everything looks normal, right? Like, this doesn't look that hard. I mean, granted, I'm only doing stage 24. I'm only doing one stage under. We'll A1 again here. But what you're going to see in just a second here is that it does kind of start to get away from me very quickly. Okay, once we get through here. Oh, shoot. Well, it doesn't help when I just screw up the fight. The hardest part is actually getting to stage 25. And I'm going to pick, let's do stage, we'll do 23. And the reason is that because the speeds don't quite line up. Now, everything's going to look normal from the start, right? I'm just, you know, A1, A3, A3. Like we just talked about this. This is how this works for the fight. Everything so far is working fine. We go ahead and we do our cleanse. But the problem is that the speeds do not line up. So it's going to get away from me very, very quickly. Now, I need to make sure that I am also using the Paragon's A2 off cooldown here. The A1. A1. Let's do A1. And then we should put the unkillable out. Here's the problem. So, Reliquary Tender, on stage 25, he would be taking a turn and Reliquary Tender would cleanse off. But we are not under any debuffs. So I have to A1. Oh no, now we're under these debuffs. What are we going to do? How do we proceed from here, right? So this is where manualing makes a difference. So I'm under Enfeeble, but I'm using instead of using the A1, I'm using a single target attack. This is an important thing, right? I only gave 2 stacks to the shade counter there. That's very important. We don't want to give too many stacks. Now we get to do the cleanse, and you just have to change it up a little bit, right? But we did get a lot of stacks. I think this is a triple hitter. So we can use that triple hitter to bring those stacks back down. And it does get even hairier at the lower stages, right? Always want to make sure that there's unkillable up, and you're actually going to see, boom, right? What happened there? So what happened there is that the speeds are off. I actually needed to use his own unkillable there to keep him alive because I never got back to Paragon before he got a turn. So the speed tunes really make a difference, and what I could have done there differently was use his own self unkillable so that and then save Paragons until we don't have an unkillable on him, right? And so I just wanted to demonstrate that to you guys. You can use this team to get up to stage 25, but you are going to have to manual it. It is doable. That's not the best example because I kind of misplayed there. The key thing is always make sure that unkillable's up. If he's going and he only has 1 stack of unkillable, then his turn is to unkillable himself. And you just use the 2 of them, and that's what will help you progress up through the stages. And then once you get to stage 25, you set it on auto and you never have to touch it again. I love talking about this team. I wanted to showcase this team for you guys, and I hope that this will help you guys beat Phantom Shogun the same way that it has helped me. It's one of my favorite teams. I build it on all of my accounts. If I could get those champions on the free-to-play challenge account, I would build it there too. I promise you. All right, guys, that's a video. I just want to say thank you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching. If you have not yet done so, there is a link in the description of this video. That link directly supports me if you're looking to start a new raid account. Thank you guys so much for those of you that have used that code. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. I love making content for Raid Shadow Legends. I want to make more content like this, and the best way to support me is to click that subscribe button. I am on a mission to 5,000 subscribers. We're not that far from it. I think we're probably about a third of the way there. So everybody, every single click helps. And I would like it if you would be part of that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.